Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to go through everything that you need to know about bearings for GCSE. We're going to start with the basics and we're going to go on to the more complex bits. So before we get on to the actual technical stuff, where are bearings used in the real world, you're probably thinking. And the most common places we use these in the real world are air traffic control when pilots are trying to land planes, when ships are trying to navigate, and even when hiking. So some of you may do a little bit of hiking and you'll be using the compass. And you'll be using bearings when you use compasses there. Before we go on to learn about bearings, there's a couple of things that you need to understand in detail before we can fully understand bearings. So these include angle facts. So that's the first thing. So by angle facts, I mean you need to know that the angles in a straight line add to 180, the angles around a point add to 360, the angles in a triangle add to 180. And then you also need to know the facts about angles in parallel lines. This is alternate angles are equal, corresponding angles are equal, vertically opposite angles are equal, and co-interior angles add to 180. So once you understand that, then you can go on to learn about bearings. So if you're still not sure about angles, make sure you go back and learn angles before you come back to learn about bearings. Now we're going to go through the basics today, but bearings can get a little bit more complex when you incorporate bearings with the sine rule or the cosine rule, and I'll show you how we can incorporate that towards the end of the video. There are 3 rules of bearings, and you must always follow these rules, and you will never have a problem if you follow these rules. So the first rule, you always measure your bearing from north. Okay, so always have a north line and measure the bearing. The bearing must always be measured in a clockwise direction, so not anti-clockwise, always clockwise. And the final one is you must give your bearing as a 3-digit number. So if you hear a bearing and you only hear 2 digits, such as 72, then you'd need to double check that because there has to be 3 digits. So if it was 72 degrees that we're after, it needs to be 072. Okay, so you never give a 1-digit or a 2-digit bearing answer, it's always 3 digits. And if it's not a 3-digit number, just stick zeros in front so it is a 3-digit number. So those are the 3 rules of bearings that you need to follow. So let's have a look at a typical question. So over here we've got a diagram, we've got point A here, we've got point B here, we've got an angle of 51 degrees here. And here's a reminder of the 3 rules. Always measure from north, always measure clockwise, and always give bearings as 3 digits. And a typical question could be, what is the bearing from A to B? So because it says from A, that means that I am standing at A. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a dot there to show that that's where I'm standing. And then I always need to follow rule number 1, so measure from north. So I'm going to draw myself a north line, which happens to already be here, but I'll just go over it in red. So there's my north line. And I'm trying to get to B. So B is here, which means I need to travel in this direction to get there, and I need to measure the size of the angle but measuring clockwise. So what's the size of this angle? Well, I can see that this angle is 51 degrees. So what's the bearing from A to B? Is the answer 51, you're thinking? Nearly. We need to follow rule number 3. Always give bearings as 3 digits. So you can't just write 51, it's got to be 051 degrees. So your answer is 051 degrees. Then another question you can ask from here is, what is the bearing from B to A? So this time we are standing at point B. So I'm going to draw myself a north line at point B. And I want to know what's the bearing to get to A. Well, A is in this direction. So I need to draw the angle here. Now, make sure you don't draw this angle, because the problem with that is we need to measure from north and go clockwise. That's from north but going anti-clockwise. From north going clockwise brings us to this angle here. So we need to figure out the size of this angle. Now there's a couple of ways you can do it. I'll show you the 2 main ways. So if I draw this north line and I continue it down, this becomes a south line. And over here we have a straight line, and the angles in a straight line add up to 180 degrees. And then this angle here and this angle here are alternate angles. So alternate angles are equal. So this is 51 degrees. So to work out the size of this whole angle, we will do 180 add 51. And that will give us 231 degrees. Now another way we could answer the same question is we could have worked out the size of this angle here. Right, this red angle and this green angle make a co-interior angle, and co-interior angles add to 180. So 180 minus 51 will give us 129 degrees. Now remember, our answer is not 129 degrees. We've worked out that this green angle is 129, so to find the answer that we want, we need to find this big purple angle. So that's the full circle minus 129. So 360 take away 129, which is 231 degrees. The same answer as before. So let's have a go at another one here. So if you want to pause the video now, pause the video and have a go at these questions on your own, and then we'll go through the answers in a second. Okay, so let's have a go at this question here. So we've got a 73 degree angle over here, and the question is, what is the bearing from A to B? So I'm standing at A, so I'm going to draw myself a north line, and I'm going in the direction of B. And what's the size of the angle from north towards B? So that's this angle here. Now I can see that's already labeled as 73 degrees. So the angle is 73 degrees. So my bearing is also 73 degrees, but I need a 0 in front because it's not a 3-digit number. So the bearing is 073. The second question on there is, what is the bearing from B to A? So this time I'm standing on B. I'm going to draw myself a north line, and A is in this direction, so I need to measure the angle from the north line towards A, which is this big angle here. And again, you could split it down the middle. I personally prefer to work out this angle here first. So if that's 73, then this angle here, because they are co-interior angles, it will be 180 minus 73, which is 107 degrees. So this is 107, therefore the big angle on the outside, the big reflex angle, is 360 take away 107, which is 253 degrees. So 253 degrees. Now, question 3, what is the bearing of A from B? Now I never showed you how to do this, but hopefully you've had a chance to think about it. What is the bearing of A from B? Now, in this question, where exactly am I standing? Well, it says from B. So I'm standing at B, and I want to know what's the bearing of A. Okay, so how do I get to A? Well, I'm going to draw my north line. I'm going to draw this. It's actually the same question as number 2. So this was from B. This is also from B. So the answer to this is also 253 degrees. The other question is, what is the bearing of B from A? Well, it's from A. This is from A as well. So the answer is 073 degrees. So they're just the same question asked in a different order. Right, here's some more. Again, pause the video and have a go at these. So we've got C here, we've got D here. What is the bearing from C to D? So that means I'm standing at C, draw a north line, and I'm going towards D, so it's in that direction. So this is the angle that I'm working out. And conveniently, it's already written down as 124. 124 is already a 3-digit number, so there is nothing that I need to do. What is the bearing from D to C? So from D means I'm standing at point D. I'm going to draw myself a north line. And how do I get to C? I need to go in that direction. So if I draw the angle, going clockwise, it's that angle there. Now, like last time, I prefer to work out this angle first. So co-interior angles add to 180. So 180 take away 124 is 56 degrees. So this little angle is 56 degrees. So this big reflex angle will be the full circle, 360, take away the 56 degrees, which is 304 degrees. Right, next question. So that was from D to C. The next question is, what is the bearing of C from D? Now hopefully you realize that that is the same as that question. So the answer will be 304. And then the final question says, what is the bearing of D from C? So from C means this one here. So the answer is exactly the same, 124 degrees. So well done if you got that. Okay, so here's another one. So the diagram's a bit more complex, and here's some questions for you to try. So pause the video and have a go at these, and when you're ready, press play again. So welcome back. Let's have a go at these questions here. So we've got points A, B and C. What is the bearing from A to B? So that means I am standing at point A, so there's my north line there, and I want to get to B. So I need to go in that direction there. And the angle clockwise is this 68 degree angle. So I just need to write that 68 degrees as a bearing. So that would be 68 degrees, but because it's a 2-digit number, I need a 0 in front of it. So it's 068 degrees. So that's the first one. The second one, what is the bearing from B to A? So I'm standing at B this time, and I want to get to A. So there's my north line at B, and I want to go to A, which is in this direction here. So the angle I'm after is this big angle here. And as you probably know by now, I prefer to work out this little angle on this side. So this and this are co-interior angles. So we will do 180 minus 68, which is 112 degrees. This is 112 degrees. Then to work out the big angle on the outside, the big reflex angle, it's a full circle, which is 360. Take away 112, which leaves us with 248 degrees. So the answer here is 248 degrees. Next question, what is the bearing of C from B? So again, I'm from B, so I'm on this point here. I'm going to draw myself a north line, and I want to go into the direction of C, which is in this direction here. So this is the angle that I'm after. So how do we work out this angle? Well, this angle and this angle are co-interior angles because they make this C shape here, and these two lines are parallel. So if this is 84, this will be 180 take away 84. So 180 take away 84 is 96 degrees. So this angle here is 96 degrees. So that's the angle I'm trying to work out. So my bearing is 96 degrees, but I can't just leave it like that because it needs to be a 3-digit number. So I need to stick a 0 in front of that, and 096 degrees is the correct answer. Finally, what is the bearing of B from C? So from C this time, so I'm standing at point C. I'm going to draw myself a north line. B is in this direction. So what's the angle I'm after? I'm after this big angle here. So since we already know this angle is 84, to work out this big reflex angle, it's going to be 360 take away 84. So you can use a calculator for that. That will give you 276 degrees, which is a 3-digit number, so I can just write that down. So the answer for the last one is 276 degrees. So that's bearings. That's about as difficult as it gets, apart from when you incorporate advanced trigonometry. That's when you have a diagram similar to this, and it might ask you to work out the bearing from A to C, and it will give you some lengths here. So we might know the length of A to B and the length of B to C, and it might ask us to work out the length from A to C, so the distance between point A and point C. And to answer those kind of questions, we will need to use the sine rule and a cosine rule. And these questions will typically be worth about 5 or 6 marks in a GCSE exam. But most of the bearings questions you get will be similar to what we've gone through today. So I hope you found that video useful. If you did, please hit the like button, as it really helps more people like you to find this video. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the bell to be notified of our next video. See you next time. Bye.